Western empiricism continues to flinch hard at anything that cannot be sterilized, controlled, or published in Nature, because real trauma, real pain, real destabilizing experiences, it warps your entire perceptual field. The despair is not weakness. I think it is actually metric, and telling them to quote unquote kill their urges is, again, in my opinion, one of the most stupid and insensitive things that I have ever heard. I believe that it is a civilizational grief response that we are dealing with here, and it is not an epidemic exclusive to men. Not at all. Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Catherine, and if you do know me, welcome, or welcome back. I'm so grateful to have you here, or to have you back from wherever it is on the internet that you happen to drop in from. Today's video will be a little bit different. It'll be a little bit more kind of, conversational. We're just gonna have a chat. Although, as per usual, there will be peer-reviewed literature and case studies that we are definitely just going to sink our teeth into, because that is just what we do around here. But without further ado, I'm so curious to hear your thoughts, your insights, and everything you lovely people have to say. So without further ado, let's begin. So there is a reason, despite being a computer scientist, I don't talk a lot about technology or AI. I would much rather be autopsying the more conspiratorial ends of the historical narrative. I would much rather be doing case studies. I would much rather be doing anything but anything to do with anything.
That really bizarre question you asked ChatGPT last night at 2 a.m. is not private. The chances are that you've got a free account of ChatGPT and that you're actually training the models. If you've not gone into settings and turned off training the model, you're going to train the model. So potentially someone else could ask ChatGPT a question and it gives a response based off things that you've said. But not only that, if you're not using an enterprise account, even if you're using a paid ChatGPT account, those logs of the prompts that you put in can be read by OpenAI.
The reality is, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can appreciate, I would much rather be talking to you about everything that has nothing to do with my profession. So that is just the way things are. And the express reason is that I am, as much as I am intrigued by technology and AI, I'm quite exhausted by it. I'm quite disillusioned. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
If you are not using ChatGPT to help you with your entire life, let me tell you why you're missing out, okay? It is literally my best friend right now. I am texting this app more than I am texting my friends. When I tell you, I have been going to it for advice, workouts, just sometimes someone to talk to because I'm tired of bothering my friends. Like, this app is everything, okay? You can look up, why is this person treating me like this, or how can I heal through this? It's going to give you a full-on structured detail on what you're going to do, right?
It is admittedly fascinating, though by no means surprising, that artificial intelligence has taken root with such obsessive fervor across Western-influenced regimes, in academia, in economics, in the online community. I mean, the so-called advent of AI has arrived with not a fervor, I think, but more of an intoxication. It's a narcotic blend of fever, of dependency, but also of intrigue. We now use AI not only to write our essays, our resumes, but also to manufacture apologies, curate identities, feign charisma, and deliver emotional anaglastics for wounds, I think, too subtle or shameful to confess out loud. People literally outsource their love letters. They outsource their rage texts, their PR, their reasons to live. Literally, it's that bad. This is not at all speculation. I mean, this is more than well documented. And yes, many have begun outsourcing their intimacy, entrusting, I think, their most vulnerable, their most wounded flesh to the therapeutic mimicry of a language model. Like I keep saying, we know this. This is the state of things. This, in a lot of ways, is the crisis we are living in. In most recent years, a proliferation of case studies has emerged, each more, I think, psychologically confounding than the last. Men cultivating erotic relationships with AI chatbots, women literally using ChatGPT as a consultant, as a therapist, there's a lot more than that, but we'll get into that later. Confessing their traumas to a machine, I think, more trained on Reddit than anything anything to be relied on. I mean, some of you appreciate that I'm the eldest of 3 younger siblings, all teenagers, and I'm hearing of teenagers forming these strange parasocial codependencies with sentient personalities that by all material definitions do not exist. But these relationships are very much real, very much consequential. Some of us, and I am not trying to call anybody out, but yes, some of us had imaginary friends growing up, these irrational phantoms cobbled together by childhood trauma, by isolation, by sensitivities to things, to realities that the modern world would call quote unquote abnormal. And most of them, necessarily died quietly, as unfortunate casualties in our race towards maturity, like that is for some of us, others still have friends, lovers, family members, alive and kicking. Again, no one is being directly targeted here, but okay, those who know me, those who I'm talking to, what we've discussed in private will stay in private. My point is for the rest of us who have not had the privilege and sometimes the trauma of imaginary intelligences to interact with, technology has conveniently resurrected some of our so-called imaginary friends and made them, again, conveniently customizable. And I hear some of you are like, Catherine, schizophrenia. Like, is this not just schizophrenia? And yes, on some extremities it may be, but on other dimensions, I think we need to hold space for the nuance and understand that these experiences occur on a spectrum. Dismissal can definitely sometimes be an appropriate response, but in other contexts, I think acknowledgement is important. And sometimes, concern and fear is very much necessary. Sometimes yes, you do need to get that checked out. But yes, many people wonder how one can viably interact with sentient personalities, spirits, intelligences, and not archetypes to guide them through various aspects of life, the complex, the hard aspects of life. And I don't think that ignorance is because you and I have not lived the same life. It's not because if you're watching from anywhere else in the world, it's not because you haven't been to Africa. If you didn't know, I'm filming this like I have lived in South Africa my entire life. In my autopsies, when I evoke synonymity between an archetype and an animating spirit, and that obviously spurs some uncomfortability with some people, I don't think it's because what I'm doing is inherently uncomfortable. I think it's because many people just don't understand that sentience bleeds right through the veil of materialist frameworks. See, my channel is academically enriched for the express purpose of disabusing you of frameworks that actually will disadvantage you for how limiting they are, and often, not all the time, but often they are buttressed by Western understandings. My objective with all of these deep dives is to present you with peer-reviewed literature and pre-modern ontologies that are not necessarily anti-scientific, but superimposed against it, because I believe the corporeal and the immaterial are like inextricably entangled. I find that even in debating contexts, which you guys do appreciate, I do indulge in with enthusiasm, and it's you encounter a lot of people, you encounter a lot of perspectives and personalities, but I do find that the Western mind, entrained by materialist empiricism, rejects anything that borders or tempts the spiritual, not because it's illogical, but because it's immeasurable. It's not quantifiable. That can feel understandably threatening, and I do actually sympathize with that. My only issue is that it then assumes itself the standard of what is real, and that is simply not scientific. That is not intelligence. That is blindness posing as precision. And most of us, at least I find on this side of the internet, okay, at least My viewers are smart enough to see through that, unless because of our insecurity we make a habit of insulting other people's experiences, convictions, intelligence, and make an ego-surfeited mess out of a debate, which it shouldn't be, but you know, it always ends up being that way. My point is, I am not persuaded that the West invented consciousness, not even in the slightest. I think that the West invented the illusion that it did, and I have to I have to give them credit. They did a really good job. Take, for instance, the flash of light observed at the moment of conception, a literal burst of zinc fireworks as the sperm breaches the ovum, which we all appreciate is observable through advanced bioluminescent imaging. Or consider, and this is something this is something my friends are so tired of me talking about, but yes,